process, but I'll pass this along. And these come in different lengths. Like you can get them in roll lengths, you can get them in specified lengths. Typically, they come in 7 to 10 foot, or you can get them by roll. There's two different ways that you splice. You can do a heat splice, which is the easiest and most efficient. But if your installers aren't in a position to do heat splicing, you can do chemical splicing, which in essence is Loctite super glue material, epoxy. You clean it and you make sure you have 90 degree. You don't want to try to bury them up when you've got one at 85. You want to make sure you have clean cuts. You literally just go in there, all the glands, you just put the Loctite sealant connector in there and you just marry them together. That's the chemical sealant. The heat seems to be the most effective. It's what larger installers do. Doesn't take as much time, and in my opinion, it's more durable. But those are the two ways that you can splice those. So, we touched on that. Right now, should I talk about that? We have a new product that's probably going to help sales. In regards to pricing, we're working on that for the week. That's all I'll say.
Gotcha.
But it's a very solid lead, and it's not something that we're not just chasing fairy dust on this. I think this is going to happen because that's part of the issue with the wing. Is our ability to be competitive. This product is going to help us with our nosing material. It's going to help us tremendously. So pretty much all horizontal joints are done this way. This is the 250B. I use these. I already pre-notched these out. As you can see, this is how they're going to come. Do I need to pass this around? If you're interested, that's how they're going to come. And as mentioned, if you do open it, you have to shut it down for a little bit. You can keep those sticks, wrap them in masking tape, keep them tight. Depending on time stored, it's going to depend on how long it takes to fully expand. That's how they come shipped. You can get them in 2 inch up to 7 inches, but that's not something that's common. Anything beyond 4 inches is pretty much specialty order, and there's obviously a longer lead time.
It's just the reason I was surprised to hear that is that the last big job we had with that, some of it was damaged in freight.
Yeah.
We had several pallets of the 6 foot sticks and then a full pallet of pre-manufactured corners. And some of the shit got damaged. I mean, it showed up here at full, and maybe it was too late, but nobody mentioned anything about trying to expand it. We basically had to do a freight claim and throw it all in the dumpster and start over at 100. It was all special fire rated stuff that was insanely expensive, and it was. And of course, it was all the shit they wanted to start with that got damaged in freight. It wasn't. It wasn't Will Seal or our fault. It just freight company damaged.
Was the entire shipment damaged, or was it just a couple of pieces?
No, it was just a corner of a pallet that blew open, and a bunch of the corners and stuff that some of the manufacturing stuff happened.
Well, I'm sorry that happened, but in the field, you can, for temporary reasons, temporary purposes, you can repackage it and get it recompressed. Now, if you want to put something heavy on to further compress it, you can do that as well.
When you're saying temporary, how much time are we talking that it might?
And it depends again on the climate, but if you can get it shut down before full expansion, get the plates back on it, the shipping plates, and get it wrapped, you can store it indefinitely. And I would start from end to end because you don't want it, gapping out. If you're going to do that, I would wrap the whole stick. That way you know it's not going to expand anymore. And primarily you want to make sure that it doesn't expand any larger than the joint. If you can keep it within that joint size, you're good. But once it starts getting outside that, that's when it's a real pain in the ass. And the wing, you grab that wing and get it.
Getting your exercise today, bro.
Yeah, the wing joint. When I first got into this industry, I went out in the field and watched these guys do this. And man, there is no science to installing these. You're literally trying to compress this to get this into a 2.5 inch joint. And this is not 2.5 inches. It's hard to do. There's different methods. There's different ways to get it in. I've seen a technique. I have never been able to make it work where you actually put a cap on the end of this, sealing it. We have cap kits. Anytime that you order one of these, you're going to get a chemical sealing connecting kit. And basically you have a cap kit, cap both ends, and then you take a hole punch, cut every gland but the exterior ones for that joint, okay? And then you take a hole punch, and then you poke a hole. You use, like, you know, the HVAC compressor vacs, the little small ones. It's got the nozzle. You put that nozzle in there, and you literally suck the air out of it. And it does compress it and makes it a lot easier to get in that joint. And I thought, man, there's got to be somebody out here that knows how to do this, that can make this look easier. Man, it is what it is. They use forklifts, they use sod rollers, they use trucks. Getting it started, get about 3 or 4 foot run on it, and then literally driving the truck on it to get it into that joint. So I thought, man, this. And I was talking to guys in the industry. They're selling other similar products, and it's the same thing. So it's one of those that it is what it is. It's very durable, but that's just the process.
So
And
do
that's
you guys provide a technician to come out and drive the truck?
What's that? No, yeah. I can only see that email. Yeah, this guy told me we could drive a forklift on it, and it screwed all our stuff up. And I'm like, man, I wasn't there. That wasn't me that day. So I wanted to talk about the wing. We just did the horizontal, so let's talk about the vertical. All our products, as mentioned, come shipped like this. I notched these out previously before you guys got here because it's easier to do right after you take the sticks off. When it gets fully expanded, it's a lot more difficult to cut these and notch these out. So this is, in essence, like shiplap siding. You want to make sure that for the water, you're going to have drainage down. So it's going to overlap. So you're going to start your bottom piece on a vertical run at your terminating at the floor. And once again, you use the Spec 1, which I joked we called the WW. The industry it is for expansion joints. It's that A and B, and our nosing is this. These are the 3 products that we use. Per linear feet, when you place an order, this is what comes with it. You're going to get, it's going to be based on linear feet, how many tubes you get, how much A and B component you use. So I'll just demo this since we're going to have another group coming in that might benefit more. So you're going to start, pre-notch it. I like to take the scrap, the first piece that I notch out, and kind of use it as a jig. I have to flip the other piece over and lay it on it so you can kind of keep it. So you can kind of keep it as a guide. You may have to go back in and trim it. So the piece that you take out, you're going to flip the joint over. You're going to lay that on there, and you're going to kind of scribe it out. We're not building rocket ships, so it doesn't have to be precise, but it needs to be clean. You want the joints where they marry up to be clean. Spec 1, now on the PF 100 and 200, one side of this is actually what's called a PSA. It's a pre-applied self-adhesive that just helps in the process, holding it in place, because the compression is where you get the seal. You're going to use Spec 1 on the opposite. For example, this side right here as the PSA, the adhesive side. So you're gonna get your Spec 1, either sausage or tubes. You're just gonna run a bead on the interior wall. Once again, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. These come in 6.5 foot lengths, custom ordered, and we do have 90s. We have 4-way intersections that have 6-inch tails. So at each intersection, either a terminating wall or a 90. You can pre-order those. Using Spec 1, you're going to put a nice clean bead all the way on the opposite side. And it also helps in the process of putting it in sometimes, because if it does expand through the heat and the conditions, it's kind of hard to get it in without getting it nasty and dirty. So you're going to butter the end with Spec 1, and you're going to slide it in just like that. This one's expanded just about to the right point. 1/4 inch inside. I'll fail to do so. You want to try to keep it clean using that also. It's 6.5 foot runs. You can go farther than that, but you want to keep that so whenever you do put that in there, that A and B pot or the Spec 1, it doesn't smear and get all over everything.
Is that color? Can we order other colors?
Absolutely.
Custom that?
Yeah, let me, I actually have a color chart I'll pass around. And Lance, the rep,